Good morning, everyone. We'll be getting started here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, if you could please locate your mute button in the GoToMeeting control panel and set yourself to being muted. You can find the control panel in either your bar on below or up top, and you want to look for this person icon and then select your microphone for muting. And we will get started shortly. Hi again, everyone. We'll give folks just another minute or so to log in and get situated. And if you've just arrived, if you haven't already done so, please mute yourself using the GoToMeeting control panel as shown in the current slide. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CARE Drop-Off Site webinar. My name is Cheryl Duran, and I'm the project coordinator for the California Carpet Stewardship Program. I'm based in the Sacramento area, and I provide support to all of our drop-off site locations. Jared Zitron, Lisa Mekas, Rob Teese, and Abby Bean are also in attendance today. And we know how busy you are, and we greatly appreciate your attendance in this webinar. So the first order of business is to quickly orient you to the mute button. To mute yourself, click on the people icon at the top of the GoToMeeting control panel. Once you've clicked on it, a list of names will pop up. Please scroll to locate your name in the list and then click on the microphone icon so that a line appears across it. This indicates that you are muted. And just a friendly reminder, if you're not muted, any audio or conversations in the background will be broadcast to the group. If you have any questions or comments about anything during the presentation, feel free to unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon again. And you can also use the chat function if you prefer not to speak or you do not have a microphone. And we'll do our best to keep an eye on it and respond. Additionally, please be aware that the webinar is being recorded. It'll be made available on the CARE website for any staff that are unable to attend today. We'll send out a copy of the PowerPoint presentation in PDF format to any of those who might be interested. And finally, we do track attendance for record-keeping purposes. So if you logged in but did not share your name, and it is not listed in the People tab, please type your name inside the chat box now and include the name of the facility or organization you are with. That way we can note your attendance in our records. Okay, so let's review the agenda for today. We're going to do a brief carpet drop-off site program update. I'll give you some collection figures for the quarter. Then our product and marketing development manager, Rob Teese, will guide us through the recycling process and highlight products where post-consumer carpet is used in the manufacturing process. From there, we'll hear from our grants manager, Abby Bean, and discuss several drop-off site operations items. And then, as usual, we'll open up the call for us to discuss what's working and what's not working, or any unique issues folks may have been facing in the past quarter. And during this portion of the presentation, we'd like to share a unique approach that our Visalia location is using and how it helps them collect more carpet. Finally, we'll open it up to more time to see if anyone has any questions, comments, or additional feedback before we close. So with that, let's move on to the carpet drop-off site program updates. During the third quarter, we added 3 new sites to the program. We've added Rivera's Fine Flooring in Morgan Hill, Robbie's Fine Flooring in El Centro, and World of Carpet 1 in Santa Rosa. Thank you to these sites for joining the program, and we look forward to supporting you in your efforts in capturing carpet at your facilities. The addition of these 3 sites brings us up to 91 CARE-sponsored drop-off sites located in 54 out of 48 counties in California, 88 of which are open to the general public. We're still growing, so if you manage other locations or know of a waste, recycling, or C&D facility, benefit by participating in the carpet recycling program, please let us know. We'd be happy to take a look at how they might fit in. Alternately, if you know of a retailer in your area that generates large amounts of carpet on a regular basis, they may be able to receive on-site pickup service. So let us know about that too. As I mentioned earlier, we now have 54 sites in 54 counties. The goal of the program's plan is to have at least 1 drop-off site in every county. So the 4 remaining counties are Colusa, Nevada, Stanislaus, and Trinity. And while we're actively speaking to several facilities in these counties, we do welcome any leads or suggestions to help expand our pool of potential sites. If you have any affiliate locations or can share contact information of someone who would join the program, please reach out to us. Now for a bit of good news. So far in 2021, your combined efforts have collected almost 9.5 million pounds. We are nearly matching last year's pounds, and that's fantastic. We really appreciate your efforts. Keep up the great work. Based on the 2020 Q4 figures, if we continue on the current trajectory, we should reach 12 million pounds collected in total for this year. So let us know how we can continue to support you as we strive to reach this milestone. It's really good to see those numbers coming up. And now I'd like to introduce Rob Teese. Rob will be guiding us through the carpet recycling process, and then we'll open up the mic for any questions. Rob?
Hey, good morning. I guess it's still morning, or yeah, it is. I am Rob. I'm the Product and Market Development Manager for the state of California in CARE. And I'm sure everybody here on this call knows exactly what happens, but kind of want to just go over what takes place after it's been collected at your site locations. So go ahead, next slide. So this is a nice picture of a well-packed truck, which we'd like to see. Sometimes we do get these in, but not always, but it's understandable. It takes a lot of labor to get it to look like that, maximize the load. Go ahead, next slide. So once that trailer or roll-off is filled, it gets transported to 4 of our primary recyclers. We have Circular Polymers up in Lincoln. Aquafill has 2 plants, one in Woodland, California, one in Phoenix. And then we've got our largest, which is LA Fiber down in LA and Vernon area. The material is unloaded and then placed on the ground and then ID'd with these handheld analyzers. And it's a refractory technology. So it shoots an infrared beam and then it refracts back and it can tell and distinguish various thermoplastics, PP, PET, nylon, and both kinds of nylon. So you've got a polyamide 6 and a polyamide 6,6. Next slide. So it all starts, these facilities have proprietary processing equipment. It's not all like go down to the corner and pick up like your various segregations at your MRFs. These are all unique and proprietary. They all start with mechanical separation. And basically what they're doing is they're chopping it up into various fractions, different sizes, screening it out, and they're able to get the various constituents, the recycled material. So that is the face fiber, which is PET or PP or nylon 6 or 6,6. And then there's a backing, a mesh backing, which is a polypropylene. And then it's all fused together in the back with a small amount, about 3% of SBR latex and a finely ground calcium carbonate that we call PC4. Go ahead, next slide. So this is just after the first chopping, shredding of the carpet. Like I said, it's kind of a black box, somewhat secretive, but all kind of does the same scenario, just different types of equipment. Next slide. So various products that this goes into. This is a siding, a synthetic wood siding and trim around your windows. It comes pre-dyed. It's manufactured by Rise Technologies, located in, where are they? Wisconsin, I believe. And they are
Mankato, Minnesota, Rob.
Okay, Minnesota. Thanks, Abby.
All the same, just kidding. My husband's from Wisconsin. I can't say that.
Perfect. So it comes in, and they do an interesting. It is a thermal melt, and then they squish and squeeze this into a form, and it captures the graining of wood, and it's a very interesting product. And they were one of the recyclers of the year at our last fair convention. Next slide. We also, some of these products go back into the flooring area, mainly under underlayment for commercial types of flooring, sound deadening applications, even insulation in your walls. We've got a company out in Arizona named called Bonded Logic that does some really interesting things with some carpet fiber and blue jean cotton and PET. Next slide. These are transition mats made in Chico, Northern California by SafePath. They use a little bit of the PC4, the calcium carbonate that goes in. They also recycle a large amount of California-derived tire. And these are just ramps and floor mats when you enter your house. Next slide. So there's many applications. Along the higher level, the fiber gets densified into a crumb and then could be fed into an extruder to make pellets. A lot of that application goes into automotive industry. The PA66, which is the nylon 66, has a higher melt temperature, and about 600 to 800 pounds of that type of material is used in everyday cars. If you lift up the hood under your car, you'll see all that plastic. That's all nylon 66, and most of it has a recycled component to it. But it's very interesting. I don't know if anybody has any questions out there, but it's my pleasure to present this, and I really enjoy getting out there, meeting with our manufacturers, of both the recyclers and the manufacturers. And it's just really interesting to try to make these recycled constituents into a raw source for feedstock into other industries. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. Be happy to answer.
Great, thank you, Rob. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Rob? Feel free to unmute.
Well, thanks, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Rob. So let's move on. Now we'll hear from Abby Bean. Abby, do you have some updates you'd like to share with the group?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay, Cheryl?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. Yeah, so hi again, everyone. I know that you've heard from me a number of times on these updates. I've been with CARE for 6 years under the grants program, and then right now I'm the interim director until we fill the permanent position. So if anyone ever has any questions on grants, you can always visit our webpage here, carpetrecovery.org/CA-grants, and my contact information is there as well. And I wanted to just get on today and give everyone a little reminder about micro grants, and those are traditionally used by a number of groups, including our drop-off sites, which we encourage to apply to the program, our collector sorter entrepreneurs, public or private businesses like transfer stations, other disposal sites, nonprofits can also apply. So if you also know of anyone that could benefit from a micro grant, I'd encourage you to either send them my way or let them know. The grant cycle, we've had 4. We started this program in 2017, and we're on our 4th cycle. Cycle 4M is in Mary, And it's currently open until the end of the year. So I just wanted to remind everyone that if you could submit an application by the end of the year, then you would make our deadline. We'll likely release another cycle in 2022, but that's not approved at this point. So if there's some kind of infrastructure or equipment that you need, it would be wise to get it in under this cycle. The basics are that the maximum grant amount is $15,000. And like I said, this could be used for, multiple pieces of equipment or one piece of equipment or infrastructure such as, weather covers, cement pads to keep carpet clean and dry, equipment to assist with loading like ramps. So we've had a number of ideas. Folks have even used these funds for containers to service retailers or for small trailers that are covered that they can pull from job site to job site or leave in a smaller space. And if you ever have a question on whether or not your project qualifies, you can reach out to me. The solicitation, which is our RFP, that's on our website. The other thing that you'll find there on the website is the application form. And thanks to Cheryl's help, that's now an online form. So I think it's a lot easier and more streamlined for folks to go in, submit an application online. You'll fill out a budget template that's there and then just upload it into the online application. And if anybody has any issues with the online form, you can always reach out to me. We could get you a fillable PDF copy of the form. The one other requirement when you apply for a grant is just to get a quote beforehand for the equipment that you're considering. That way we know that you're on the right track. So you'll upload the quote into the online form. And one thing just to mention is that sites, if you're a company that has multiple sites, you do qualify for one grant per site. So you can always apply to do that. We've had many folks on this call, actually, or a few folks on this call do that in the past. And I know that there are several of you on the call that have received microgrants and are currently using the equipment. So, we love to see that. And I think that those are all of the basics I just covered. I've done a presentation on this update before, but with slides, but I just wanted to mention this here and keep it in your mind until December 31st. And yeah, I'll take any questions too, if anyone has questions or wants to, make a comment about how the microgrants have worked for them in the past. Or everyone already, knows everything there is to know about microgrants, which is possible, since we've mentioned it many times.
Okay. If there's no questions,
okay.
No questions for Abby? Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, hopefully I'll see. Thank you, Cheryl, and hopefully I'll see an application or 2 or 5 or more in the next, couple of months. I know everyone's busy, so I really appreciate you taking a little bit of time. But those applications, if you know what you want, typically don't take, more than an hour or so. So it's a pretty easy process.
Great. Well, thank you for that information, and that does lead us into our next topic. It's rainy season. As you know, we're now entering what would normally be the beginning of our rainy season. We are encouraged by the recent rain and snow, but this does bring us to our reminder that with the rain and snow comes a need to protect the carpet from moisture and dirt or mud. If carpet is wet to the touch or does have mud on it, unfortunately, it must be discarded as it cannot be recycled. The photos on these slides show what an ideal load would look like when it arrives to our sorting facility. As Rob said earlier, it's not always this pristine, but your efforts to get it as full as possible is greatly appreciated. All the carpet must be clean, dry, and debris-free. And like I said, trailers and containers should be fully loaded. If you are receiving carpet tile, the tiles should be stacked on a pallet and then strapped and wrapped to ensure that it doesn't topple over knocking loose tiles during transportation. And we occasionally field questions about what cannot be recycled. So essentially any small pieces like scraps or remnants, carpet that has been exposed to fire or smoke, as well as any retardants, or carpet that arrives wet or dirty to your facility or becomes wet or dirty at your facility after being dropped off, must be discarded prior to transportation. If you are seeing carpet become contaminated on site and you think a modification to your site would help to avoid it, definitely reach out to us so we can help you. There might be a unique solution or that we know of, or like Abby mentioned, there could be potentially a micro grant that could help. And we're happy to talk through some of that with you and perhaps troubleshoot if needed. So CARE is actively promoting in your area that carpet is recyclable. It's important that everyone in your organization is aware that you do accept carpet as a recyclable material. So please take a moment to communicate with anyone who may receive an inquiry regarding your location's process or fee structure. Please do include new hires, scale house and office staff, as well as dispatch and customer service staff who may or may not be working on premise. And CARE can assist you with any training or education of staff. Please reach out to us. We do have a training video available on our website under the drop-off services page, which you or your crew can access at any time. In August, we experienced a major equipment failure on the unit that serves our cargo container sites. So due to that outage and the anticipated length of time needed for the repairs, CARE recruited an alternate hauler. RNA Trucking, is currently servicing these sites using a side lift crane. We'll continue to use them until during this outage and may deploy them in the future to cover any potential schedule backlogs or service delays. You'll be able to recognize them. They are a blue and white truck. So if you see them and you want to talk with them, please feel free. You also may have recently seen or heard in the news that there are many challenges facing the logistics industry. Driver as well as container and trailer shortages are some of the critical issues that are impacting the shipping lanes across the globe. And because many of our sites use third-party haulers, we want to ensure you that while we do not anticipate this impacting the program, we are keeping an eye out for any potential issues. We'll keep you informed if we see that your site could be impacted in any way. And if you are self-hauling and are experiencing logistical challenges, we encourage you to reach out to us to see if there are ways we can support you. For any sites affected by logistical challenges now or in the future, we do appreciate your understanding and patience. Our goal is to ensure your loads keep moving, and we know smooth transportation is key to collections. So this brings us to our next section, feedback and best practices. Let's take a look at some sites who are standing out this quarter. CARE would like to acknowledge 10 sites for their persistent growth over the last 2 to 3 years. While all of you have contributed to the overall growth of the program over the years, we just wanted to recognize that in 2021, these sites collected more than 1.5 times to almost double the amount of carpet in the first 3 quarters compared to the same 3 quarters in 2019 and 2020. And their numbers show a steady climb in collected pounds. The sites are Bishop Sunland Landfill, Buena Vista Landfill, Construction and Demolition Recycling Incorporated, Edco Recycling and Transfer in Signal Hill, Hawthorne Street Transfer Station, Lake County Waste Solutions, Sunset Transfer Station, Shafter-Wasco Sanitary Landfill, Windsor Material Recovery Facility, and Yolo County Central Landfill. Job well done. Thanks again for your great year so far. So before we move into what's working or not working, we'd like to introduce you to one of our retail drop-off sites and who's using a unique method to collect more carpet. Franny's Flooring has been in business since 1955 and joined the program in December of 2018. They're located in downtown Visalia and have a limited space for container placement. So regardless of this challenge, they're committed to collecting carpet to prevent it from going into a landfill. They have used a little ingenuity and machining skills to come up with a unique tool that helps them pack the carpet into the container, which helps to maximize the load weight as much as possible. Of course, making sure it isn't over capacity. Here to describe what we're looking at now is Colin Franny. Colin is a third-generation owner-operator of Franny's Flooring. Colin, would you like to share with the group what we're seeing in this picture?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me, Cheryl?
I sure can.
Excellent. So, as Cheryl mentioned, we're a space constrained, and so we have a 20-foot cargo container, and we felt like our weights were less than what they could be, but we were having trouble filling them what we felt like was the true maximum capacity. Since we are a carpet retailer, we have a stinger attachment for our forklifts. We'd been using that without any attachment on it to drive carpet in, but it could puncture the pad or the carpet itself and kind of be self-defeating. So my research and development team, which also happens to be my warehouse manager, got to thinking about some extra metal that we had lying around the warehouse. So what we see here is a device that we created and welded using leftover parts from our warehouse racking system that fits over the tip of our stinger and allows us to drive more safely and cleanly carpet and pad into our 20-foot container, allowing for greater fill and greater efficiency doing that. It's a work in progress. Initially, we didn't have any tapering on the sides. We just had the flat front, but that was catching as we operated. And so we added the tapering on the sides, and I was looking at it this morning. We might need to add some sheeting on the top of that device and then also reinforce the length of the tube in order to maintain structural integrity. And we have a chain there on the back to make sure we don't lose the attachment while operating the machine.
Great. So now we have a video of showing it in operation.
Thing works. Thing works.
Oops.
So we are excited to be part of CARE, and I challenge my staff to make sure that we are filling our containers to maximum capacity without overreaching that goal. And so I think we are at over the maximum weight that CARE seeks. And like I said, this item is still under development, but I'd be happy to share any specifications if anyone wants that, to attempt to make something of their own like that, because it is allowing us to get more material into our containers safely and efficiently.
Great. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask Colin? Please feel free to unmute yourself, or you can ask a question in the chat box. So Colin, how much compaction do you think you're getting with this added versus the other methods in terms like maybe percent or?
Oh, I think we're fitting probably between 10 and 15% more pad and carpet in there easily, which is great. As you alluded to, there have been some service disruptions. And so instead of having carpet sitting outside or stacked in a warehouse where it could be damaged or get wet or exposed to smoke, we're able to fill our container all the way. We're getting well over 10,000 pounds on every load.
That's great. And I know we talked about this. You have not given it a brand name yet, correct?
No, not yet. Our forklift is propane operated, so we are thinking about putting an attachment on it so it can shoot flames, not during operation, but just for coolness and wow factor.
You can show it off at the next fair.
I love it. That's awesome.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time, Colin. Ingenuity and hard work are exactly what's needed at times, and
Thank
we
you, Cheryl.
appreciate you sharing this with us. So this brings us to what is or is not working. This is the time where we open up the conversation to give folks the opportunity to share thoughts, ideas, concerns. If you'd like to speak, please unmute yourself or feel free to write your questions or comments in the chat box. So let's start with what's working. Does anybody have anything they would like to share at this time? Some thoughts or what elements of the program do you find especially helpful? Do you have any surprise outcomes as a result of being in the program? Anyone? Does anyone want to share any successful changes or improvements they made to their facility recently?
Hi, Cheryl. I know I'm not a drop-off site, it's Abby again, but I have an idea for next quarter too, is I could potentially share results since 2017 of all the different projects and the results in terms of pounds, improvements that have been made. So that way, just in case anyone else doesn't want to share, the next time I'll have some really good stats.
That's great, Abby. Thank you. We'll jot that down, definitely.
Yep, I'll compile it.
We have a little bit of a quiet crowd today, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next of what's not working. What lessons learned or improvement suggestions can you share? Does anybody have anything they'd like to speak to on that? Again, feel free to speak up or write in the chat. Does anyone?
I suppose no news is good news sometimes.
That's right. Thank you, Jared. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions for CARE or others on the webinar? Maybe they have a challenge they're facing and might like some support with. Of course, you can always reach out to us directly if you don't want to share that here. Are there any specific areas maybe the program could focus more or less on? Okay. Well, then this brings us to the last item on the agenda, which is just further questions, comments, or feedback. So we'll leave the channel open up just a few minutes or a few seconds longer. And if anyone has any feedback, please unmute yourself or offer it in the chat. We definitely rely on your feedback to make improvements and adjustments to the program.
And of course, this is just our quarterly check-in, but you all know to reach out to me, Jared, or Lisa, or Cheryl directly at any time, in between the quarterly webinars, if you ever have any feedback or problems. And I think a lot of you do that and we get it solved pretty quickly. So if you don't speak up today, we'll talk to you elsewhere.
Yeah, and I would just say too, if anyone ever has any feedback for our grants program or pilot projects that we could potentially fund, or other ideas we should consider for funding as we try to reach, you know, that next tier of carpet collection, definitely reach out to me. I'm always happy to hear new ideas and see how we can incorporate those into our program.
Okay, very well. Well, this concludes our quarterly webinar for the third quarter of 2021. Our next webinar will be for Q4 2021, and it'll be held in January 2022. We sincerely appreciate your attention and thanks for your continued efforts in capturing used carpet for recycling. And we also look forward to a strong fourth quarter to finish out the year on a high note. Thank you for attending and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.